welcome back to my channel. Yes. Big up to Teal already in here, and hey, we haven't had a good 2 games lately, but as my title says, it can't get worse, right? Listen, we've got easy, I know, no easy games in the Premier League, but relative to the other games, we've got easier, should I say, games coming up, games we should be winning. We got to set the past 2 games right now. We can't be talking the way we're talking now once it's January. The way we are talking right now, the way we're defeated, this, that, the other, that's because of the results. We can't be that way come January. To have a better outlook on Man City by 10, we're gonna need to win some games. And winning games, it starts with 1. So that'd be this one. It's actually a quite luckily placed game. It's an easy game at our own stadium, where we have only lost 1 game, and that's to Spurs. I'd not include Champions League in that for agenda reasons, but in the Premier League, we've lost to Spurs at the Etihad. Otherwise, we haven't lost at the Etihad in the Premier League. We should be winning. It's as simple as that. We should be winning. And then we can look at the other games. So first we're going to look at this game, because I'm going to read what Teal says here as well. But first we need to focus on this game. And then we can talk about the other games. But big up to Teal. Beating Leeds means nothing if we lose to Madrid. I agree. But beating Madrid also means nothing if we lose to Leeds. We have to be consistent in silverware. I agree with that. We have to be consistent. But that's for Leeds and Madrid both. We need to win both of these games. Not just Madrid. Let's beat Leeds first. I think we play Madrid then the Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check that quickly. But yeah, we need consistency. We've said that for a long time. We need consistency. Let's start with 1. Okay, it's actually Wednesday, and it's not this week Wednesday. This week Tuesday. Well, I guess next. You know what I mean. Next week Tuesday we play Fulham, and then we play Sunderland, and then we play Madrid on the Wednesday. Okay, so there's a week in between there, but we've got 3 games before we play Madrid. So if we win all 3 of those games, get something flowing, then we could be in better form. So let's focus on that, eh? Hello, big up to Wim. Tomorrow, Humble Machine hat-trick. Who is gonna start in goal? Wait, I've no idea, do I? On Thursday, Club Brugge and Man City. Tuesday. Bruges play on Tuesday as well, apparently. I'll have to check that later. But anyhow, let's get actually started here with this preview. So, for the starting 11, I have gone with the exact same that we played against Newcastle. And here is why. Because this is also the exact same that we played against Liverpool. The problem was not the starting 11 against Newcastle. Not entirely. It was that starting 11 specifically against Newcastle. Newcastle are very physical, bullying, strong midfield. And this midfield not quite as strong. But we see against physically less imposing midfields, like Liverpool's, this midfield can run about them. This midfield should be fine. This midfield should be fine for me against Leeds. If we're playing against Sunderland have a midfield there. They've got, I mean, just look at Sunderland's midfield. Sadiki, Xhaka. Then they throw Diarra in there. I don't think Diarra is starting recently, but they've got these strong players that they can put in their midfield. So Sunderland, you might want to go with Reinders or Marmoush in midfield instead of Silva. But against Leeds, I think you're fine with... in fact, I think you're maybe even best with Silva against Leeds. Because against Leeds, we're going to have a lot of possession. Will probably be a goal or two up. You want to hold on to the ball, play the game out, and that's what Silva is best for. Let me get the chat here already, because there's already a lot of stuff coming in. Big up to Rosa. Big up to Rosa. Let me pin this quickly. Give me a moment. There we go. That's pinned. Spurs still want Savio in January. Really? Is that real? What's your thoughts on that, Teal? Because I'd like to look this up. Still want Savio. I'd be happy to sell. I'd be happy to sell if they still want Savio after the disasters he's been dropping. Bench Silva. You don't have to, though. This is not the game to bench Silva. This is not the game, because we're not playing against a physical midfield. If you are worried that our midfield is going to get overrun the way it was against Newcastle, it won't. If you want Silva out of this team so badly, and you're worried in a tough game where you're going to get overrun, then this is the game you want Silva to play in. Because if we're going up to Sunderland, and Silva has not played against Fulham, and this game, then who's gonna have played? Reinders? Let's say Reinders, for argument's sake. Let's say you have Gonzalez, Reinders, Foden, right? Just for argument's sake. Okay, you play that against Leeds. You play that against Fulham. Reinders is not rested. Now if you play Silva against Leeds, Reinders off the bench maybe, and then start Reinders against Fulham, now Reinders is rested to play against Sunderland, which is a more physical midfield. Then you can say, okay, but what about the rest for Foden? Well, you can rest Foden with Marmoush. Marmoush can play behind the 9 for Foden. So if you want to do this rotation thing, then this is the game where Silva plays. Because the upcoming games, with a more physical midfield, which Silva will not be able to handle, they're coming up. This is the game where you play him, so that you can rest someone for those games. The next set of players we get has to be physical players. We have too many technical players. I don't necessarily agree. I don't see why it matters if they're technical or not, as long as they're physical. I mean, Gonzalez is technical. Gonzalez, strong, fast, not really, but strong, physical, duel winner, good tackles, aggressive defensively. Sometimes a bit too much, but he's young, that's okay. But he's also technical, solid passing. You need to get someone who's both. You can't get one or the other. If you get Baleba, that is physical. Baleba is physical, strong, fast. He's gonna have good tackles. He's tall. He's gonna have head. That's physical. But now you give him the ball and you crumble. You go get a Wharton, for example. He'll be good with the ball. But physicality, he's okay, but not good enough. So you have to get a player who's both physical and technical. You can't get one or the other. You can't get one or the other. It has to be both. Don't stand for Pep, Alf. Silva must be benched. It's the only way. It isn't. And I'll show you why it isn't. I'll show you why it is not. Silva over here, Gonzalez here. Cherky is gonna go inside to create. Yeah? I think we all agree on that. Cherky is gonna go inside to create, and so is Doku. So you're gonna have these three guys over here creating. This is a bit exaggerated, of course, but you basically have Doku coming to here and Shetki coming to here, and then Foden is gonna have free reign over this entire area. O'Reilly is gonna push up. Nunez is gonna push up. These guys will hold to it. Right? They're gonna hold to it. Okay, Gonzalez is gonna be the 6. Great. Gonzalez stops the transition down the middle. Now what's our defense? If you have Reinders here, Reinders pushes up and becomes the 4th man in this conglomerate. He becomes the 4th man here. Silva can become the wingman. I suppose you could have Reinders do this as well, but why? Silva does this role better. We've seen Silva do this role. This has not been a role we've seen Reinders play. Unless you want to say Gonzalez play here. We've seen him do it. He's done it just fine. But now you need to put Reinders here. Unless what you're saying is maybe you take off Foden. Or even you drop Foden deeper and you play Marmouche. I don't dislike it, but I mean, you'd have to change the system. You could not play this system. What you could play is... Let me remove these lines. I drew all these lines suddenly. What you could play is O'Reilly maybe sticking back a bit more, or O'Reilly inverting, and then you have Gonzalez still out here, and I'm guessing you're gonna have Foden and Marmouche in the central areas, and you're gonna force Jetki and Doku a bit wider. I guess you'll create something like this. Obviously, this shifts depending on where the ball is. This is assuming the ball is down the right. Ball's down the left, players are gonna shift down the left. That's fine, but now you're messing about with the system. I don't see why you'd do that. The system worked just fine against Liverpool. It should work against Leeds. It didn't work against Newcastle, sure. But that's because Newcastle had a physical team who could overrun us. Leeds do not. So, why experiment with something when we don't have to? Against Newcastle, we had to. Because they had a more physical team. Leeds is not the same. Leeds we don't need to experiment with. We need to get a win. We need to get a win. We need to get confidence up. That's what we need against Leeds right now. Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest won yesterday. Who did Forest play against? Nottingham Forest. Almo. Hey! Bears. Looks like Sean Dyche knows ball, isn't it? Where does that put him? Am I blind? Oh, hey, 16th. Hey, Fairs. Hey, man, sometimes when you get a good manager, you actually start winning games. Shocking. But anyhow, I don't mind your suggestion, Rosa. I just don't think this is the game to do it. I mean, I get why you're saying it, but this is not the correct game. Drop Silva. Because this... you know what it is, yeah? It's not that this is the wrong game to drop Silva, but this is the correct game to play him. So this is the game where you get to rest someone else. If you want Reinders starting, or you want Gonzalez starting all these games, you can rest one of these players by playing Silva. And then you go look at your Fulham. Craven Cottage is always going to be tough, even if I don't rate Fulham right now. Sunderland, that's going to be tougher. And then you look at Real Madrid. These are fixtures coming up which are more difficult. So this is the game to play Silva, if you ask me. So this is the 11 I'd go for. Just the exact same as what we played against Liverpool. And hey, maybe if you want consistency, what about a consistent lineup? Because people talk, rightfully so, about consistency. You are correct to talk about consistency. We need more consistency. That is 100% valid. But what about a consistent lineup? When Man City won the treble, it is the only time in Pep's tenure that we played the same starting 11 in every single Champions League game, barring injuries. We had to move some stuff, I believe it was against Real Madrid at Bernabeu, but that's because of injuries, not because of Pep's choice. It's the only time where we have played the exact same starting 11 in every knockout game where there weren't injuries. I think the final, there was a change as well. I think Akanji was right back, if I remember correctly. But still, you get the point, right? Consistency of lineup can produce consistency of result. Maybe get a consistent lineup together and get a run of games. Again, just food for thought, I suppose. Just food for thought. Bench Foden 2. Gonzalez, Reinders, Sherky. Sherky in midfield. Gonzalez, Reinders, Sherky. Yeah, I'm guessing Sherky in midfield. Okay. You know, let's do that quickly. Let's do that quickly for you. Gonzalez, Reinders, then Sherky in the 10. Where else would you put him? Nunez right wing, because... I mean, I'm just gonna do it. I'll talk afterwards. So, I'm just gonna need a yes or no, Rosa, if this is what you're looking for. Let me just read that one more time. Is this what you're thinking about? Is this your idea? Yeah, Spurs in it, but to be fair, it is. It is PSG, to be fair. We were all expecting them to lose that game. Big up Ahmed, big up, how are you? Bench Silva, put O'Reilly. Put Nuri at left back, we cook. So O'Reilly in midfield. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. Because you know what the thing is, shit? O'Reilly looks good when he plays left back and when he inverts. But that's an entirely different thing from starting in midfield. I'm not sure if he's ready for that. I do like the idea though, because you do get Ait Nuri back into the team, and I think Ait Nuri is a baller. You know what I like to do? I'd actually put O'Reilly left back, and I'd put Ait Nuri in midfield. I think that'd be better, actually. Because Ait Nuri has the experience to start in midfield, I think. He doesn't have experience starting in midfield, but he has the experience as a player overall to start there, I think. But Ait Nuri is not as physical, so I suppose that's the problem then. I mean, you could definitely try it. This is definitely something you could try, but it's not something you'd start with. This is something you'd, when you're winning 2-0, you make substitutions and you try this. This is not something you experiment with when starting in a game that you quite frankly have to win. Otherwise, we'll be 10 points down and would get a title race at that point. They will not press us, hence we need to attacking. So bench Silva, they will park it. Yeah, but defending and attacking are the same thing, Ahmed. I say this a lot, don't I? But defending and attacking are the same thing. When you have Silva, who drops down deeper here, and kind of not really forms a back three with Guardiola and Diaz, and you have Gonzalez ahead of them, it means that Foden, Sherky, Nunez, who's at right back, O'Reilly, Doku, Haaland are all liberated to go forwards. Whereas if you don't have Silva, I think more players have to go backwards, actually, because of handling the transition without Silva. I'm sure you could find a system to make it work, but that's just my logic behind it. That's why I would play Silva in these types of games, where physicality and getting pressed aren't really an issue. Why can't we play Stones as a midfielder? He was never a great centre-back. Hey, he's got that Liverpool goal clearance. Hey, respect Stones. I get what you mean, though. He was never a great centre-back. I agree with that. He was always a good centre-back and a very, very good passer. He was never really a great defending centre-back, though, was he? Might as well use him in midfield. Sure, he could be your backup midfielder, but what's your backup defense now? I need you to understand, yeah? We have 3 centre-backs at this club. 3. Guardiola, Diaz, and Gusnov. Okay, but if you move Stones to midfield, by the way, you are already playing Gusnov as right back. That was your suggestion, to play Gusnov as right back. I mean, that just doesn't work, does it? All 3 of your centre backs will be starting at the same time, and you won't even have Stones as a backup. And okay, even if you have him as a backup, I don't think that's a good happy moment there. So if we had Vitor Hayes instead of Aki, and we had a right back, so Gusnov could be the extra backup centre back, then yes. You could do that, but I'm not sure about right now. I think it's easier to just play without current midfielders and buy someone in January. I mean, it's only a month till January. Only a month. Alf, it worked against Liverpool because they pressed us heavy, while others did mid-block, hence creators, not Silva, who's a ghost in attack. By the way, those I'm still gonna need a yes on this lineup, if this is what you meant. But here's the thing, though. Yeah, Liverpool presses up the pitch a lot, but so did Newcastle. They didn't start out pressing us, but they ended up doing it anyhow, because they realized we were there for the taking. That's why we faded out of the game. I get your point, but I think you're still gonna have a lot more use of Silva in these games where you're not playing against a physical midfield, where you're not playing against getting pressed to bits, where you're not playing against absolutely overrun by tall players. This is the moment to play Silva, because otherwise, where do you play Silva? You're not going to play him against Sunderland. You're not going to play him probably at Craven Cottage, which is going to be intense. Maybe you do play him, but I wouldn't. You're not going to play him against Real Madrid. When do you utilize Bernardo Silva? Because utilizing Bernardo Silva means you get to rest someone else. Why should... When will we utilize Bernardo Silva? If not against these weak, physically unimposing sides? That is my question. How many players on a bench? 9 players in the Premier League. I think it's more in the Champions League, I'm not sure, but in the Premier League you're allowed 9. So that's a total of 20 players in a squad, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let me check that, because I think it's actually 9 in Champions League. How many players? Bench Premier League. I think it's 9 though, let's see. Yeah, 9. And you're allowed to put on 5, of course, but you're allowed to have 9 players on the bench. So speaking of which, we'll talk about bench and substitutions in a moment. I hate Silva with a passion. He's finished 0 forced passes. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. But when do you utilize him? Because we still have him. You can hate him. He's not doing anything right now. I mean, that's just the truth. It's that simple. He's not doing anything for the Man City right now. But when do you play him then? Because you're not going to play him in these big games. You still have to use him in order to rotate others, in order to rest others, in order to prepare others. You're still going to have to play him. This is the type of game. Forward 1, forward 1, but yes, okay. So this is what you're thinking, Rosa. Something like this. It's not a bad starting 11. Listen, it's not a bad starting 11. But here is the big but. Krusnov is our only right back in this system because Nunez is a right winger. That's already a major issue. O'Reilly pushes up, I assume. Krusnov isn't really gonna push up. Although we form a back three, we've not really done that so far this season. If you say yes, fair. I don't mind starting. I don't mind this 11. Don't know. I don't think Pep will play Nunez at right wing either. I'd love to see Nunez at right wing because here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing. If we went on, let's say, hey, I used some magic. Voila, we have cash. Matty Cash. People told me shit. Then he scored a goal against us. You know how it goes. If we had Matty Cash, I would actually do this. In this theoretical situation. Because now I'd play Foden ahead of Rangers, but otherwise I will do this. And now, Cash goes down injured or something. Gusnov can play there. Diaz goes down. Gusnov can play there. Diaz and Cash both. You drop. But now you're getting into ridiculous numbers, right? But now, by just having Cash, you add depth to right wing by liberating Nunez. You add depth to centre back by liberating Gusnov. And both of them can cover for Cash if something goes wrong. By having Gusnov and Nunez, our only two right backs, both starting games, you're reducing depth. You're reducing depth this way. It's a good 11, don't get me wrong, but the bench now becomes the problem. Not because of the quality on the bench, but because of the positions the bench can uphold. Don't play Silva, he's beyond utilization. Just 15 minutes, end of the game. Control, not worth sacrificing for. I'm not saying sacrifice for it, I'm saying make sure. Just make sure that Silva is... Make sure that Silva is doing something. Make sure that Silva still has a purpose. Make sure Silva, even if he's no longer as good as he used to be, can still make a net positive on this team. Make sure that by playing Silva in certain games, other players are ready and better to go into a tough run of fixtures. Again, Craven Cottage, I did not rate Fulham. I think we will spank Fulham. But Craven Cottage is an intense game. It might not be difficult to win, but it will be intense to play. You go play Sunderland. Sadiki, I've talked about a lot. Xhaka, I don't need to talk about. Intense game. Then Real Madrid. Intense game. If you're not starting Silva now, you're not starting Silva in any of those games, which means that you're starting the exact same midfield in 4 games in a row. That works at the end of the season. But we're not the end of the season. This is why Arsenal pick up injuries and fall off in March. Because they're busy in November and October with these... With just spamming out these players until they're done. Just resign him to a Nordgaard's World Cup games, etc. Imagine Silva start... I don't want Silva start. I don't think either of us want Silva starting into at the Bernabeu. I mean, that'd be disastrous. That'd be disastrous. Oh. Anyhow, for now, this is going to be my 11 for this game. For this game specifically. And by the way, I want to start getting Marmoush Depends on... yeah, sure. I want to start getting Marmoush into this 11 as well. But he has to play behind Haaland, in my opinion. But for now, honestly, I'd just say trust the system that beats Liverpool for this game. I'm not saying trust it against Fulham at Craven Cottage. I'm not saying trust it against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. I'm saying this 11, you should be able to trust that against Leeds. Which means that you can then bring in Marmoush to play that intense game at Craven Cottage. Then Marmoush will pick up some match fitness and you can play him again against Sunderland and so on, or Rangers, or whoever you fancy, whether it is Marmoush, Rangers, Lewis, whoever you fancy. I guess Stones is the argument now that Rosa put forth. But I'd say just... I don't see why we wouldn't play it this way against Leeds. It worked against Liverpool. I don't see why it won't work against Leeds. They won't press us the way Liverpool did. But that just means they're going to sit back in their box. And Silva's fourth play is not going to be as bad because he's not going to waste out counters. He's going to be feeding players like players like Foden, who can do the fourth play. So I don't see that as a bad thing per se. Marmoush and Foden, let them compete for the second striker role. Yeah, but... no. I kind of want Marmoush and... I kind of want Marmoush and Foden both on the pitch at the same time. I want Foden in the 8 and Marmoush as second striker. Foden in the 8, Marmoush second striker. That's what I kind of want, to be honest. But I mean, yeah. I can do that as well, I suppose. I do not trust the system. I want Marmoush behind Haaland. But you didn't say that earlier. Wait, did you say that earlier? I mean, in here, you don't even have Marmoush on the pitch, so... But okay. Let's say this. Let me help you, Rosa. How about this? Or this. Voila. Marmoush comes inside, Sherky in the 10, Foden in the 8, where I've been saying this for a long time, by the way. I think he's closer to Lampard than he's to David Silva. Because people compare him to David Silva all the time. So maybe you can do this, and then Marmoush when he comes inside, because Nunez goes up, he's behind Haaland, and then you have Sherky in the... maybe this. Sure. I like that too. That's fine by me. And then you don't have Silva starting. Then I suppose you have Silva on the bench. Let's do this. Yeah, I suppose you have Silva on the bench then, as a backup. I guess if you're gonna play out the game, you have Rangers. I guess your bench will be Rangers, Silva, Bob Savio, Kusnov Aitnouri, Stones. You'd have Trafford on the bench, of course. And either Lewis or... okay, I'm guessing it's gonna be Lewis then. Something like that. Yeah, sure. That can work. Anyhow. Oh, by the way, I did not even talk about these guys, did I? Yeah, they're injured. Voila. There you go. Injured. Not ready yet. I believe that Rodri will be ready to start. After Real Madrid, I believe. It's that he's ready to start again. Oh, I agree completely. Marmoush has to start. He has to start. Not play, start against Madrid. We need goal scorers at Bernabeu. Not long ago, we would not even care about a game like this. Well, I care about every game, but I get what you mean. We would not care this much. We would not be actually worried. We wouldn't be thinking about it. That's what you mean, isn't it? And I agree. We wouldn't. we wouldn't be that fussed about this game. Let's be honest, we wouldn't be that fussed. Be a big deal. But yeah. Instead, here we are. It be a guaranteed win. That says a lot about the state we're in. Listen, yeah? At the Etihad, we should still be winning these games. We should be... At the Etihad, we've been pretty good this season. I know, Leverkusen. But, let's be honest, Pep Guardiola threw that Leverkusen game away. If we play a half-sensible 11 at the Etihad, we win. I think it's that simple. Half-decent 11 at the Etihad, and you win. Unless it's against a big team, then it might be a bit more complicated. But against these teams, you win at the Etihad. With just any 11. That is not suicide ball, as was the Leverkusen game. By the way, Leverkusen is a good team, by the way. They're not a great team. We should have battered them. They're a good team, and we pulled out that lineup. So, it's still the Etihad at the end of the day. And it's not last season's Etihad. Last season at the Etihad, we were lost. We were Dortmund the Explorer without a map last season at the Etihad. Anywhere, really. We were lost. That's what we were. Now we're playing better. Let's admit that first. We are playing better. It's not good enough yet, I'm not saying that. But we are playing better. We should not get cooked at the Etihad. If we get cooked at the Etihad, that's when the alarm bells go off. But we won't. We won't. Imagine we struggle against Leeds. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to sack a manager when you win, but if we struggle against Leeds, I mean, we should not be struggling in these games. I thought that this was very interesting. You can read it on your own, but why? Why? I get what he's saying. It's not the main concern because right now he's scoring. Come on. It has to be one of the main concerns. It has to... You have to be worried about the fact that next to Haaland, top scorer for Man City in November, almost December, is Esteve his own goals. You have to be worried about... Surely, you have to be worried about that. Not a single Man City player has scored 2 league goals, bar Erling Haaland. Surely that's something you have to be worried about. Now, and it's interesting that he says that ahead of this game. Because to me, it signals, to me, Pep Guardiola saying that ahead of this game, signals to me, we're gonna play the same lineup, same system that we've been playing. Or the Leverkusen game again. That's what it signals to me. It signals to me, not really bothered to change all of this. And again, I'm fine with that, but it's very strange. It's very strange to say it's not one of our main concerns that our striker is the only one who has 2 or more league goals this season. It's almost December. It's a very strange statement. I can't lie. Do you think we could have gotten more from last season? Easily. We could have easily gotten more from last season. Starting with an FA Cup, by the way. Could have just won that final. Pep Guardiola truly sabotaged us that season. I'm not saying we would have won the title, by the way. Probably not. But the lineups Pep played, especially during that 1-win in 13 run, and the way Pep waited to make substitutions, we could have finished second. we would have finished second. Not could have, we would have. We should have gone further in the Champions League. Our Champions League form was diabolical. Oh, we got knocked out to Real Madrid. Well, we shouldn't have been playing Madrid. Should have gotten top 8, or at very least a higher seed in that playoff thing. We should have never been playing Madrid. We could have gotten quarterfinals in Champions League. Again, FA Cup. Second or something close to that in the Premier League. I think we could have gotten a lot more out of last season. And that's why it's important to win these games as well. Yeah. Say about it what you like. The fact is, he's here right now. He's here right now, and these are the games we have to start winning. We have to start winning these games. We have to build a winning run. I've been saying it for a while, but here's the thing. We're almost at January. I promise you, December will fly by. December is a short month when you think about it. I know it's not a short month as in short in days. It's a 31-day month. But short month because it's holidays here and there. And there's a lot of football and that keeps you excited and on your feet. And very quickly, but that's January. We're gonna be talking about a title race in January. I say this all the time. Talk about a title race January, February, March. In that time, you talk about a title race. Not in November, not in October, not in August. January. The first half of the season is qualifiers. You know, you qualify for the World Cup. You play World Cup qualifiers. And then you play the World Cup. The first 19 games of a Premier League season are title race qualifiers. The last 19 games are the title race. Or the walk-in, depending on how far ahead you are. If we're 10 points behind or more, heck, if we're more than 8 points behind, I'll even say, by January, no title race. We won't be in it. We won't be anywhere near it. We can be, if you're 8 points or 9 points behind Arsenal, sure, go beat them at the Etihad, you're still 6 points behind. Now you need Arsenal to lose 2 games more than you. By the way, they have a better goal difference, so you still need them to draw a game, or you need to get your goal difference up, which is all more... you're gonna have to start battering teams then, which is all not well and dandy, and now you're gambling on goal difference. And you're gonna drop points in the second half of the... We need to be up there. In January, we need to be up there. We need to have a run going. It's too late. If we can't comfortably beat Leeds, Fulham, and then Sunderland, which I think is going to be the toughest one of the lot, then there's no title race. We have to beat all 3 of them. There's no 2 ways about that. Haaland is on intensive care after that tweet. Poor Haaland, bro. Oh, he's doing everything, bro. Give Erling Haaland a fucking medal, bro. Like, you know, he's having to score every fucking game. Nobody's scoring other than Haaland. It's just like, Haaland, have fun. Haaland, have fun carrying us. So poor guy. Poor guy can't keep doing this. He just can't. And we just keep rolling him out. That's what we keep doing. Because here's the thing, yeah. I'm assuming Abdullah is going to put a new one in because he needs that message. Here's the thing, yeah. If Erling Haaland, let's say Erling Haaland scores 50 Premier League goals. 50. Yeah? 50 Premier League goals. You know how mad that is. Let's say, yeah, Haaland scores 50. We still won't win the title. 50 goals, it's probably not enough to win a title. So, if we don't get these other players contributing with goals, They're not winning a title. It's that simple. Even if Haaland scores 50. Haaland alone, Haaland's goals alone, won't win the title. They won't. I disagree, Abdullah. I don't think his in-game management was ever that good to begin with. Difference is, he used to have De Bruyne, David Silva, Aguero, Sterling, Mahrez, Sane, it depends on time, of course. He used to have these players on the pitch at the same time. Now he doesn't. So, when you have players who are so far declared of the rest of the Premier League on the pitch, and you don't do anything for the game management, sometimes the players just do your job for you. I don't think his game management has gotten worse, I just don't think it was ever his best. I don't think Pep Guardiola's game management has ever been the best thing about him. Pep's best attribute has always been improving midfielders. He just has a way of making midfield players better. It's been putting teams together, and it's been tactic. It's never really been game management. It was average. Now Arteta is better than him. Even Company, Enrique, arrogance clouded him. But that's always been true for the Pep. He's always been an arrogant person, arrogant manager. I mean, when you win the treble in your debut season as a manager, yeah, you're gonna be arrogant. He's always been arrogant. That's always the way Pep's been. Anyhow. I'll read this one out. Just so you guys know, I'm not... just so you guys, if you can't read, I'll just read this one out for you guys, yeah? Pep Guardiola on Bernardo Silva's future. I want the best for Bernardo. Of course, he's your boyfriend. And if he wants to stay at Man City, I will be more than delighted and happy. Why? Just don't talk about it. You know what you could have said? You know what you could have said? You could have not said any of this, and just said this. But I don't talk about that subject with him, and I always want the best for his family. Of course, he has already been here 9 years, and at the end he will decide with the club what is best. He could have just said this. He could have just said this. He did not need to say, I want Bernardo, I would be happy for Bernardo to stay. He did not need to say that. But he did say that. You know why? Because it's his fucking boyfriend. Like, bro, if we extend Silva, I'm quitting football. Yeah. If we talk philosophy, what's your manager? Pep or Mourinho? Neither, really. I don't like Mourinho. I think he's a cunt. Like, just plain he's a cunt, let's be honest. Pep is a successful manager, but I just don't like... I don't like the super system heavy type of football. Philosophically, I don't like it. More of an Ancelotti, to be honest. I'd lean more towards Ancelotti. Or Prudon. Ancelotti is maybe the attacking example, and Prudon would be the defending example of an Ancelotti type manager. Philosophically, I'd lean more towards that. That doesn't mean they're better, but like that's just closer to what my philosophy would be in football. But if you're talking about better manager, I think they're about the same. I think Mourinho, Pep, Wenger, Ancelotti, and Fergie, those 5, are the best managers I've ever seen. I only saw the end of Fergie, of course, but allow it. Those 5 are the best managers I've ever seen. So you can debate philosophy, you can debate this or that, but it doesn't detract from how good they are, right? Silva starting in 27. Oh, dead. You know he has short films, Jesus Christ. Bro. Silva has some mad dirt on Pep, doesn't he? The way Pep's talking. Better manager is Pep by a landslide. I don't agree. I think Pep Guardiola has a better longevity. Sure, that's true. He's got a better longevity. He's had better resources. But as a manager, I won't say one or the other are better than each other. They're both really good managers. They're both super elite, top of the top managers, and I don't think one or the other is necessarily superior. I just think Pep's has more longevity and better resources. That doesn't make Pep worse either. They're about the same, if you ask me. Anyhow. Yeah. Moving on. Moving on from that one. Man City are ready to make Elliot Anderson one of their top targets in 26. Why? Exactly. Because here's the thing, yeah. I'm not knocking Anderson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Elliot Anderson. But he's another young player. If we got Gibbs White, that's someone who's been in the Premier League for 4 seasons and the Championship for 1. That is 5 seasons of experience. 4 in the Premier League, 1 in the Championship. Now you compare it to Elliot Anderson, and that's experience, is it? We need experience. I'm not knocking Elliot Anderson as a player. Sure, he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not. I'm knocking the idea of getting another young, less experienced player. He's played 2 seasons. This is his 3rd season of football. Right now, this is his 3rd season. Gibbs White is in his 5th Premier League season and has played a season in the Championship. Sure, Championship not the same, but he still did it. I'd rather get experience. I'd rather get a bit of experience there, I can't lie. If we're going to be starting with Elliot Anderson at the Bernabeu, for example, I mean, we can't because it's for the transfer window, but just an example, that doesn't fill my heart with... that does not comfort me very much. Oh, sorry. Let's compare qualities, tactics, longevity, Pep, what else? How about longevity, Pep, everything else about the same? Now, if you compare resources, Pep has had more. Winning with underdogs, Mourinho has had more. When you say tactics, do you mean the tactics I like to watch or the tactics that are effective? Because Mourinho revolutionized football, but it was defensively, so nobody cared. Anderson wouldn't be a starter. We would start... Yeah, Anderson wouldn't be a starter, fair. We would start Gonzalez and Rodri. Foden, Sherky, Marmoush can play at the 10. Rangers can play everywhere in midfield if need be. Anderson is a good backup. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But then Gibbs White is the more experienced player who's also capable of doing that. And in my opinion, he's the more versatile player. What do you think of Arsenal, by the way, tactics-wise? Suicidal. I think they're suicidal. You see the way they play against Bayern München? Is Arteta stupid? It's November. Why are you playing that way in November? I think it's nothing short of suicidal. You can't last a season like this. Look at their Champions League games. It's such intensity. Bayern München didn't lose because they were outclassed. It's because they lost half the intensity from Bayern. Bayern München was on the pitch like, yeah, we're top 8 if we lose this game. Yeah, not that big of a deal. Arsenal? Intensity, 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 press, 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 run, run, run. stupid. November. Playing like that in November. They're gonna burn out. They're so dumb. Like, legit, Arteta is so dumb. This is why he never wins trophies. We always have this talk about Arteta in the first half of the season. Not in the second half. Because he has to get this super high intensity out of his team to get these results. And then you hit the second half of the season, can't keep it up, drop away. When everyone else is upping the ante, you're dropping. You don't do that. But like, you look at Arsenal against PSG last season. Arsenal spanked PSG. They didn't beat them in the Champions League semis. They didn't win a trophy, but they spanked PSG. And they were playing mostly good that season. But, again, intensity. And then you come February, March, somewhere there. Boom. Power shuts down. Everyone else is upping the ante. Boom. Your power supply is down. Your players can't do it anymore. They're tired. They're knackered. They can't put 120% in anymore. And now you drop away. That's what happened in the treble season. It happened a bit later because of the World Cup, which saved them quite frankly. And they still couldn't get it over the line. It happened in the 4-beat season, when they were dropping out of every competition at the same time. It happened last season, and it's happening again this season. Every single season gets the same thing. Gibbs White won't come. Sure, that's fair. I mean, yeah, sure, fair. Again, I'm not knocking Anderson. I think Anderson is a good player. I just want an experienced player. Why is their structure good? Why is their structure good? Because they run 2 miles more on average than their opponent. That's a statistic for this season. That is not good structure, that's intensity. But what about their structure is different from last season? They play with a striker now. That doesn't affect them defensively. And Marino, at the end of last season, was pretty much playing as a striker anyhow. People were like false 9, but he was playing as a striker, not as a false 9. Why is their structure so good now? Why do we always have this talk in November and never in May? Why is this Arsenal talk always November and never in May? Let's come back to this in May, when Arsenal finished 2nd or 3rd. Let's come back to this then. Because good structure is not run from the get-go and die. It is not easy to bypass them because they run close all the passing lanes. Bukayo Saka sprinting back 3-0 up in the 90th minute against Slavia Praha in October. That is not good structure. That is suicidal intensity. And they're gonna drop away again. We do this every first half of the season. Don't get giddy if you're an Arsenal fan. Don't get giddy. Because the drop-off is coming. It's like adrenaline. When the adrenaline rush wears down, go boom. What Arsenal is begging on is to be so far clear by January, February, that even if they drop off, they'll still walk the league. That is what Arsenal is betting on. If Arsenal is not that far cleared by that point, they're going to get destroyed in a title race. Age doesn't matter if you are good enough. I agree with that. But are you then comparing Anderson to a player like Kubat? I think that's maybe not it. Anderson is already an important player for the national team. I don't think Elliot Anderson has ever played for England. Check. Has he ever played for England? He's played 6 games for England, okay. I've not been watching England recently, so I didn't really know. But yeah, sure, fair. It's already an important player for the national team, unlike Gibbs White, and we already have so many players in his position. But that's the thing, though. Gibbs White plays everywhere. Left wing, right wing, 8, 10. He plays everywhere. He can even drop down, and he's got such a work rate on him. By the way, Elliot Anderson has never played in the Champions League, I think. Gibbs White has, I believe. With Man United, right? He's played. I'm not sure about that one, actually. But Anderson is more limited as a player. Which is fine if he's starting every game in his position, but it's not fine if you're having him as a bench player and stuff like that. I mean, it's fine, but it's not better than Gibbs White. But if you're saying Gibbs White isn't coming, and nobody else that I want is coming, and Anderson is there, then sure. But anyhow, I'll leave it there. And no, you know what? I won't. There's something I need to talk about. One more thing I need to talk about before I leave it. And that is the women's team. There we go. The women's team is top of the league. And the women's manager has been voted manager of the month for November. This is Man City women. We're top of the league. Let me just look that up quickly. Man City women, top of the league. 9 games played, but it's a 22-game season. Hey, maybe we need to watch women's football more. Maybe that's a solution. We need to start watching women's football. Just saying. Yay, at least the women cook. Hey, there we go. We end on a positive note, guys. At least the women are cooking. At least the women are cooking, guys. But I did not give a score prediction either, did I? I'm all over the place today. Score prediction. Do I back us to keep a clean sheet? I think I do. I think I back us to keep a clean sheet against Leeds, with all due respect. I think we should keep a clean sheet against them. So, I'll call it 3-0. Do one Leeds. You mean Leeds to win, or us to Leeds 1? Yeah, I think 3-0 Man City. I'll go 3-0. We should be able to keep a clean sheet against Leeds. Don't really have attackers that I rate. Wow, really? Okay. I hope you're wrong. I strongly hope you're wrong. And if you're not, then we're cooked. Anyhow, I'll redirect this to my stream that I'm doing later today. So like, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys later. Surprise tomorrow. Lewis Smith. Oh. Not that. No. No. We have to end the stream there. Lewis in midfield. No, thank you. We'll end it there. Like, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one, which is in just 2 hours from now. I'm redirecting you guys there. See you guys then.